Real talk, raw truth, raging hearts. Welcome to From the Minds of Raging Brats. Like, share, and subscribe.
Hi, welcome back to From the Minds of Raging Brats. I'm Heather.
I'm Ashley.
So, how's your week?
It's been all over the place, honestly. Like, I've reached some really good highs. Some great things have happened, and then I had several moments where I am very thankful that I have gone to therapy and I have steps that I already know how to do to control my freaking rage. And maybe that's just a normal thing of being a parent to a teenager and working with people with memory issues, but I'm getting through it. How's your week been?
I feel like I've lived through 3 different lifetimes or more this week. I've been put through it. I had some foundational truths land, some communing with my ancestors happening. This week was full of surprises, to be honest. It was emotionally draining. It was exhausting, is exhausting. I'm still processing through a lot of stuff that I don't yet have words for, but at the end of the day, a foundational truth landed for me that shifted everything in my healing. So it's been a productive week.
Well, that's always good, even if it doesn't feel that way.
Yeah. So we spent a lot of time talking about trauma here. Healing, cycles, and emotional survival. But we don't often talk about where those patterns start. Not just the wounds we inherited, but the strengths we inherited, the survival instincts, the stubbornness, the fire. Tonight's episode is about ancestors, blood-related, chosen, spiritual, adopted, step family, and the ones whose stories shaped who we are, even if they never met us. This isn't a glorified Ancestry.com episode. It's not that. This is the people who lived long enough for you to exist and the ones who shaped your survival. So, I want to start by saying this up front. I didn't just inherit trauma. I inherited resilience. That's for sure. Stubbornness. Check. Intelligence. In spades. Intuition. Sometimes more than I wish. Instincts. Sometimes in ways I don't even understand. And this weird spiritual ability to navigate chaos and still create something out of it. Those strengths came from somewhere. I didn't build them from scratch. And for me, the story of my ancestors isn't about romanticizing bloodlines. It's about acknowledging that I come from people who walked through hell and didn't die in it. And boy, is that the fucking truth. People who failed, hurt others, loved deeply, and still passed something forward that ended up becoming the strongest parts of me. And, I'm sure you too have your own inherited strengths and quirks that...
I think everybody really does have inherited strengths. Like, whether you come from horrible people, which is something I definitely understand, or you come from great people, there is always something good that they pass along, like whether it's your curiosity or your distrust for the government. Like, you never really get to pick which ones you take. But I think it's really good to focus on the positive things that we've gotten from our people too.
Yeah, I definitely think that it's been eye-opening for me as I talk about the people that my ancestors were, and people that I did know in my lineage, how the correlations are coming together. And it's been interesting. One of the biggest pieces of my lineage is my grandfather, the one who died in the Mount St. Helens eruption in 1980. I was just over a year old. He wasn't just some guy up on the mountain. He worked with NASA and the Department of Defense. He was brilliant, complicated, intense, and deeply involved in research and technical work that most people never knew he did. He had a mind that didn't operate on a normal wavelength, and I see so much of that in myself. Like, legitimately, like the way that my mind works, so many different intricacies that should not be compatible, but for me, they are. I'm like, this had to come from somewhere. And when I hear stories about who he was and the things that he did, I'm like, yeah, definitely got some of that. When he died, his car, the one he was driving before he was killed, was recovered and eventually donated. That car is now displayed as the miner's car on the Mount St. Helens monument. People walk past that, take photos, go see it, never knowing that was my grandfather's. Like,
Yeah.
That's part of my lineage. A man whose mind stretched beyond the world he lived in. And people see the display like it's an artifact. They don't understand that someone's entire story and family legacy are attached to that. Like, to them, it's just like part of history or geology. But to me, it's a connection to part of me. So, I mean, I draw so many things from him, especially his survival instinct. Like,
Yeah.
when he was a teenager, he had to escape his home. Not like you think typical teenager know-it-all wants to go out and do it on their own and runs away from home. No, we're talking like drunk father chasing you down while shooting their shotgun at you, like, you're not leaving.
Yeah.
Survival skills. And then he went to war, like, to Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
Like, one of the worst times this country has seen in war. And the least respected veterans, the worst treated veterans.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he not only survived all of that, but he still ended up thriving and making a life he loved.
Yes.
That takes some strong survival something.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely not the average person.
And for you, who's the first person that comes to your mind when you think of people that built who you are?
I think I always go back to my grandmother. My grandmother Paulette, like when I was a kid, she hung the moon. Nothing she said was ever wrong, and if you said it was, I'd knock you the fuck out. Like, I ended up very much resenting other people in my family because of the way they treated her. Like, she's the reason I had such good self-esteem as a kid, and she really was the foundation of everything we were. And I got a lot from her. Like, to know my grandma's real story is to know a life full of nothing but pain and tragedy. But she always looked at the brighter side. She always was 5 steps ahead of where people thought she was. Like, she was a very controlled person. Her rage simmered. Where, as I've gotten older, that's become very much my rage. And she was very, very good at making people believe that they knew a lot about her while they actually knew absolutely nothing of who she truly was. And I got that, and I got her resilience. Like, that woman went through hell and back every step of her life, and she made it look effortless.
Yeah. Yeah. I can definitely relate with that. But on this, like further back in my great grandma, um, but I'm not quite ready to talk about her yet. Because she's like my twin soul. So that's like I'm saving her.
Yeah.
But like my next person up isn't somebody of blood, like, but somebody that did touch me in ways that forever changed who I was from that point. And it was my step grandfather. And I didn't know him as deeply as I wish I did. I definitely grew up with him and had a relationship with him, but like they always felt like they were at an arm's length, those grandparents.
Yeah.
Like they were there, but like they didn't really want to fully be involved. And I didn't really understand that was more of my grandma's vibe than my grandpa's, because I didn't like separate them as two people. They were just a unit for me.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I think is probably typical for most kids, but it did not do them justice in the long run. But when he was dying, I didn't know he was dying. I didn't know that it was not even his first time battling cancer.
Yeah.
While I had been away in prison. And I didn't know that he was like holding on. And so when I got home from prison, because my grandmother had made it very clear when I was in prison that I was an embarrassment and not somebody that she wanted to call family. And I'm not one to force myself on people. I mean, occasionally I will, in situations where I've had to be in situations with people that rub me the wrong way. Yes, I have sometimes forced interactions knowing it was going to rub them even wronger, like sandpaper. But that was just, the unhealed parts of me hurting and needing other people to see that pain. But like when I came home, because of that, I didn't want to shame anybody or embarrass anybody. So I just didn't contact them. I stayed away. And a couple months went by. Let's see. Yeah, a couple months went by. And he calls me one day. And he's like, how come you haven't come and seen me? Or called or
Anything?
anything? And I'm like, well, because I don't want to be an embarrassment to you. Like,
Yeah.
and he was just like, absolutely not. Disappoint me sometimes, yeah. Embarrass me, never. Like, I love you. And he was like, you need to come see me. And so I did. The next day I went over. We had pizza, and my dad was there for part of the day, and just spent the day with my grandpa talking and spending time together. And then the next day, about noon, I got the call that he was gone.
Yeah.
And it was weird because it just like utterly broke something in me and also made something stronger. I can't explain to you how that worked, but it did. It like broke my heart and strengthened my backbone.
Yeah, I do
Uh,
definitely understand that one.
and at the funeral, people were like, it feels like he was just waiting to see you, which that
Oh,
destroyed me.
yeah, maybe not the best thing to say at a funeral. Mm.
I spoke. I couldn't remember for the life of me what I said at that funeral, but I know many people came up to me and were apparently very moved by what I said. To this day, I could not tell you what was said because I was so emotional and so distraught while also trying to like keep certain family members from creating dramatics that were unnecessary at a funeral, much less at a funeral that was not theirs.
Yes. Mm.
And also be strong and somebody to lean on for other family members that I felt needed it more than I did.
Yeah.
But like I never felt alone. And at the end of the funeral, my grandpa had this saying, like, lots of people talk about pennies and face up or face down and how the different luck is, but my grandpa had a belief that if you found 3 pennies together, like in a bunch, randomly on the ground, then that was somebody from the other side telling you they were with you.
That's
And I walked
awesome.
out of the yeah. And I walked out of the funeral, and right behind the driver's side back tire, 3 pennies.
Nice.
So my ancestors tend to walk with me both in and out of this life, and they make themselves known when they're walking with me. Not always, but in crucial moments when it matters, they let me know that I'm not alone in this life and that no matter how hard it gets, like I come from tougher stock than that
Yeah.
to let myself fold over this life.
Yeah. Well, it's like I told my mom, I was like, you don't have to like my tattoos or my attitude or the way I choose to live my life because I make our ancestors happy. And she's like, no, they would be so upset. I was like, no, I have the freedom and the confidence to go get my face tattooed or anything else I want. I have no fear when I look in a man's eyes and I tell him to shut the fuck up because I can handle my own. I was like, I am everything that the women in our family had hoped to be. And it took however many generations to get somebody to finally not back down or take abuse. It makes me happy. Even if some of them probably could deal with a few less tattoos and be just fine, but I don't think any of them are ashamed of me.
Right. No, I don't think that shame would be the word. My step grandpa I brought up because that kind of connection becomes part of how we move through the world. Knowing someone waited just to say goodbye, even though they weren't even actually your blood.
Yeah.
Because they loved you that wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
Also, like the kind of love to give that kind of closure, like without whether you knew or you didn't know, to give somebody that would need it. Because knowing me and with my BPD and my abandonment issues and attachment issues at the time, like not having closure would have absolutely destroyed me,
Oh
especially
yeah.
fresh out of prison where I was like in an identity crisis on top of everything else.
Oh yeah. Like, for me personally, my grandmother, like I said, she was the most important person to me at that point in time. And my mom has pointed this out, and I just now started believing her when I really look back at my past. But there was the version I was before she died. She died, and I immediately became a completely different person. And then I had a few other things happen in that same year, and it completely reshaped who I was. Like, my mom will even say that the before version of you, and she means before my grandma passed away. And then there's who I am now. And she's like, I knew your grandma was important to you, but I did not realize that she was fundamental for who you were at that point in time. I was like, well, guess what? I was 14. I didn't realize either.
It's one of those hindsight's 50 or 2020.
Oh, yeah.
Moving on, people talk about breaking generational trauma, and yes, absolutely that matters. But no one talks about preserving generational strength. I inherited emotional intensity, high intuition, a mind that sees past surface level reality, which really fucks with me and other human interactions a lot because people see things on a surface level, and I'm just sitting here scratching my head going, how do you not see all of this?
Yeah.
But I have learned to just quietly sit with that because I'm aware that not everybody sees that. In fact, rarely do anybody else see that. The ability to survive impossible situations.
Yeah.
Yeah. My kids call it you're God's favorite. Some people call it you're a lucky son of a bitch, but
Yeah.
the bottom line, there's no real logical reason why I am alive and well today. But here we are. Tenacity, vision, leadership, the capacity to rebuild from ashes, literally.
Yeah.
And it didn't start with me. My ancestors survived wars, natural disaster, abuse, poverty, loss, exile, relocation, abandonment, illness, and somehow kept going. Their survival became my blueprint. I don't just carry their pain, I carry their power. And I carry so many ancestral lines. Like the fact that I am most strongly drawn to my native and my Celtic roots does not diminish the rest of the bloodlines that I have inherited, because there's many and they're varied and they each have depth that I contain. And I feel that especially when I connect with other cultures and people are just like, how is a little white girl understanding these different cultures that and the levels of oppression, and there's no logical reason why you should understand it, but I do. And not just on an intellectual level, but on a soul level. And people are just like, this don't make no damn sense. Well, it doesn't have to make sense to you, because apparently my lineage wanted me to know all of itself. It wanted all of itself expressed, and it just wanted to give me a pale face so that I could move through the scene easier, I guess. Because it gave me all the complexities of somebody born as a person of color, multicultural person of color in a white world, but it put a white face on me, which really made me confused.
Yeah, I definitely feel that, especially, if I look back at my ancestors, I make the joke to you all the time, no wonder my head's so fucked up, my DNA is literally at war with itself. I'm very native blood, and then English, and Irish, and then part of my family on my dad's side had way too much money for their own damn good, and then the other side is poor as fuck? Like, I'm like, there is no commonality between any of it. Like, it
No,
didn't bring me up to be this way, but nah.
No,
They
I
don't fit.
told Rowan your joke about Savage and Colonizer, and he was like literally, you should have seen the emoji with the. And I was like, what? And he's like, mirror? Are you feeling reflected much? And I was like, excuse you?
Right? You can shut the fuck up, good sir.
And he was like, oh, you don't think your own native versus colonizer lineage isn't at war inside of you? And I was like, listen,
They've come to peace.
we
It's
aren't
fine.
adding wars to my plate, sir.
Right?
I have enough of those. And he was like, well, refusing to acknowledge it isn't going to help it go
Sure.
away. I was like, okay, you're right. But also, why do I have to be at war with that too?
Right? Can't I win one more before I start another one?
Yeah, that was why for the last 3 days, until just actually a little bit ago, I had 2 braids, like the native style 2 braids, because like I needed, like I literally had the Celtic and the native side from my whole new moon ancestor kumbaya circle. I say that jokingly because we didn't actually sit in a kumbaya circle, but like it felt like that.
Yeah.
So that's the metaphor I'm using. But when all that was happening, I literally felt pulled to put my hair in the 2 braids for balance. And like until just a little bit ago, like the new moon cycle must be coming to an end now, because I was like, okay, we've restored balance now. Let's back to harmony with unity. Both sides combined into one. And I was like, all right, cool. Because sleeping with 2 braids sucks.
Yeah. There's stuff like that that probably comes from a lot of your ancestors. I know braiding's very important. And a lot of my family, I continue to chop my hair and they don't like it, so I don't braid my hair very often. But it's things like that. It's also like, I do not purchase sage. I will not buy it. I will not spend money on sage. And I actually will not obtain sage unless it's gifted to me. Because in my culture, you do not buy sage. You do not buy spiritual items. It taints them. And that was something that I didn't even know about until I told my mom one day. I was like, the only time I get sage is when it's gifted to me. It's the only time it feels right. And she just looks at me. She's like, yeah, that's a native thing, not one I taught you, because look at you, you're white. But yeah, that's the normal thing. I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah, I've never had that. Thank God, because otherwise I wouldn't have a lot of sage around me, and I need it, especially with the amount of magic that my soul pulls me to do. I need my protection charms.
Yeah.
But the nice thing is, once we're on the property, that is one of the first things I plan on planting is various different types of sage around the property, where we can not only harvest it, but also because protective borders on the borders.
You're right. Very important.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel drawn to be protected a lot lately.
Yeah. But I feel like, honestly, even my casting probably has a lot to do with my ancestors. Like, my mom will not say that any of our family practiced. But what she will say is people burned sage and did chants, and all the animals were drawn to my great-great-grandmother. Like, out of the woods, like bears would come up to her and come visit her and all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, not a witch. Not at all.
Well, technically that wouldn't be witchcraft. That was considered animism because they don't.
Yeah.
Native Americans do not enjoy the negative connotations tied to paganism because technically they are pagans.
Yeah.
As any nature-based religion. But anyways, that aside, they didn't like the negative, so they changed theirs to animism. That is part of animism, is communing with your ancestors through the animals. Like they believe that certain spirits represent certain tribe members.
Yeah.
And that is how they commune with those people.
Yeah. And I had got that, like, because she was back then there wasn't animal sanctuaries or anything. So if you found an injured animal, if you didn't know how to fix it, you killed it. My grandma was the person that they brought all these animals to, and she just knew how to fix it. Like, my mom has this memory that she loves of her walking in the house with a bag of groceries, and she's yelling at the skunks that are waddling through her living room that they better have not gotten into the fucking Cheerios, and she's like brushing raccoons off her counter and stuff. And I was like, yeah. I used to help animals when I lived in the woods too, and then the forestry people came in and they're like, we can ticket you for doing that. I was like, do it secretly. Got it.
I don't think I have memories like that. Like don't have any really wounded animal stories, but I think my favorite nature story with me was as a little girl. I remember my grandma took me up Humbug Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
She had a friend that lived up there. And she was visiting her friend, and they were sitting inside the lady's kitchen, had the big glass doors to look out to the backyard. And her backyard obviously backed up to the fucking mountain. Like it's on the mountain. Like there's a grassy patch, but the rest is mountain. And I'm out there, and a deer walks up out of the woods, starts walking towards me, and somewhere there's pictures because my grandma took pictures. She was just so blown away.
Yeah.
But I ran back and grabbed apples when I saw the deer and walked back towards it with my hand outstretched, and everybody was just blown away. This deer did not walk away. It walked right up to me and ate the apples right out of my hand.
Mm-hmm.
I still remember that vividly, but I remember even more my grandma just losing it. Like, how did you do that? Like, how did that even happen? Like, this doesn't make sense. Wild animals do not walk up to people, especially little kids that just ran up to the house to grab an apple and ran back, and they take off. They're like, she's got to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Animals? No.
Yeah, I'm just like, but that's always been like one of those cool moments for me. I guess probably I should have known because of that memory alone that like core fundamentally there wasn't something absolutely wrong with me, but you know, trauma and all. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. So you know, we talked about my step grandfather and how my strengths that are passed down, but I'd like to give you like a time to just talk about your strengths that you've inherited, and maybe a couple of people that have maybe just really left an imprint on you.
Yeah. For me, like, one of the big ones, it was my grandfather, Clyde, my great-grandfather. I didn't know him very long. He passed away when I was, like, 4 or 5 years old. But when I think of people that made my family, he's the reason we're in Oregon. He served in the military. He had kind of a dark childhood and decided to move him, his mother, and his wife to Oregon right after he got done with his service in the military. and he helped raise my mom and my aunts and uncles, and he really instilled in them this very hard work ethic. Like, he is one of the reasons that Oregon has so many pear orchards around, because he helped create some of the very first pear orchards around here. Like, when my mom grew up, the saying dirt floor poor was not an exaggeration. Their floor was dirt, but he got up every morning. He worked. He took care of his grandkids because his kid wasn't doing a great job. He fuck out of my uncles when they got out of turn. They helped raise my mom and my aunt as to what you will expect from your life. Like, this is how you stay safe. This is what you do on date. Like, all of that. And he served in Vietnam too. He was medically discharged. And I sit here a lot and I think about where my family would be if he hadn't decided to come to Oregon. Like, I wouldn't be here, my mom wouldn't be here. Like, and he really helped shape I think some of the best things that were passed down in my family. Like, all the women in my family are loyal to a fault. But so is he. And I definitely get that from them because, as I've said before, like, if you're one of my people, you're my people. And that means I'll do anything for you. And I definitely got that from them. And when I said earlier I'm everything my ancestors wanted to be, I really do stand by that, because almost every woman in my family had been abused up until my mom and my aunt's generation, and they put a stop to it. But it really instills a level of survival no matter what. When you know every single female in your family has gone through very similar things, like, and, we do pass that down in our DNA, whether people realize it or not. Like, it makes me very, I look around and I notice a lot more than I think the average person, and that's because of them. But I love very, very deeply because of them, because I've seen their love withstand everything. And I don't know. I think as I get older, I'm more and more thankful for my ancestors and the things that they had to go through to get me to this point.
I definitely feel that. The point of this episode isn't to idealize our ancestors. Some of them were violent, abusive, broken, traumatized, and harmful. Some were brilliant, loving, spiritual, resilient. Most were both.
Definitely.
We are not descended from heroes or villains. We are descended from humans, like you and I. And we are the first generation with enough awareness to say, I'll keep the strength and I'll heal the rest. That's the real legacy. Like, my great grandma, for her, like, she went through so much in life, from being born into abuse, that nobody knew was happening, for 13 years of her life, endure the most intimate kind of abuse from a close family member, only to then find out that there was a child coming as a result of said abuse. And she was a young, unwed mother that now also had the word incest attached.
Yeah.
Like, in a time where any one of those individually would have caused society to fracture away from you. But the resilience that she had to not only survive in that society, but thrive and build a legacy, build a farm, a nursery, her own garden that provided all the food that she could ever eat and then some. She can to the very last day of her life. Like, this woman was a marvel. Like, she was one of the women that was part of the story for Rosie Riveter, like the inspiration for Rosie the Riveter's story. Like, there's so many complex layers to this woman.
Yeah.
And yes, violence was also part of who she was. It was part of how she survived. Not in the I'm going to go pick a fight, but the if you crossed my boundary, you got one warning. And after one, I don't feel bad about what happens to you. Those are them, they're your consequences. You got one warning and you chose not to heed it.
Yeah.
Like, she was not the kind of person, and she didn't care. You could be her own child, and if you were trespassing on her property trying to steal from her, and she caught you in the middle of the night at the business into her shotgun, child or not, you got till the count of 3 to get off my property, and then this buckshot's heading for your ass.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And she meant it. Like, she meant it.
Yeah.
And when she got to 3, you heard the shot ring out, and you better hope you weren't within range.
Yeah.
Like, that's all I got to say, because she didn't play, but she grew up in a time where that was literally the thing that kept her and her children alive.
Yeah, she had to be that way.
Especially the first child and her being a product of incest when you're a 13-year-old mother. Like,
yeah. Mm.
People during that time figured, well, then you're fair pass.
Yeah, exactly. If they're going to do that to you, then I should be allowed to.
So violence became part of her nature.
Yeah.
And she didn't feel bad about it. Like, I've always felt bad about that side of my nature, but I've really had to put that in perspective too. Like, it's not like I just go out seeking violence. Although sometimes I do just get a wild hair where I'm like, I just really would like to fight today. But I don't do that just because I get the wild hair at my ass. But yeah, no, the violence that I inherited, even that was with purpose.
Yeah. It was never for no reason.
Right. So, on that note, thank you for sitting with us in this conversation. This isn't about history. It's about embodiment. Who we are, not just because of what we've lived, but because of what they lived. And healing doesn't mean throwing away where you came from. It means evolving it. If you have stories about your ancestors, the ones that shaped you, saved you, scarred you, tell us about it. We want to hear about them. If you have something inside of you that's just always kept you going, and then you start to talk about the people that came before you and their traits, and all of a sudden you realize that you're mirroring some of those. Maybe, think about mentally just giving that ancestor a hug, and maybe recognizing that they weren't perfect, they were human, but also acknowledging, thank you for passing that trait down to me. That survival trait, that thing that kept me going when nothing else would. And, if you liked today's episode, or if you know somebody that could hear it, like, share, and subscribe. It's free. Doesn't cost a thing. And remember, rage responsibly.
Bye, y'all.